Still keep on trying with the app, I believe in you. And now our next speakers are speaking to a topic again under WHAKAMANA. They are Jane Kitson and Pike Stahlmann-Brown. I did nearly give you a Māori name, but I believe that it's Pike, not Pike. And their topic is helping communities realise their biological heritage, along with special guests from the Fairfield Project in Kirikiriroa, Hamilton. Tēnā korua nau mai, piki mai. Welcome. And Nathan as well. Motaku he, Nathan. Nathan Matamua. Tēnā rawa atu koe.
Yeah, we're going to introduce them.
Okay, whatever. Nami kia koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou e nā rangatira te kohai, hau kainga, and tēnā koe mātua Edward. Kia ora. Ko Jane Kitson a hau, no kaitohu ka he moe me waitaha ahau, ko waihopai kainga anai nei. So here I am from the deep south, and a bit of a shout out because there is actually others from us that have come from the cold, well actually not so cold aspects of Te Waiponamu, so shout out to the Murihukuites. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to the project that we've been working on, which is about empowering kaitiakitanga and environmental stewardship. And we've done it as a team approach, and so therefore we had to bring Nathan, who was actually speaking the next speaking slot, along because he's one of our superstars. We've been very blessed with early careers in our project, and so we need to highlight and show them off as well. So just so you realise, yes, this is where we are, yes. And I dropped objectives of that project with our mahi, which we can't talk to all of it, is about helping local communities to develop and realise their biological heritage and aspirations, taking account of social and cultural considerations that underpin kaitiakitanga and environmental stewardship, and also supporting the adoption and scale-out tools and capacity in tikanga frameworks. So today we are talking and giving examples of two. So Pike and the Fairfield Project will be talking about the local communities, and Nathan will be doing the kaitiakitanga projects that we've been undertaking. And Pike has helpfully put in some animations to help show that. So using our Fairfield project as an example for helping local communities, and also Nathan's Masters and a story map project that we have done to talk about kaitiakitanga in the next session. Yes.
Kēnā koutou katoa e mahi ane o ki manaki whenua Landcare Research he matani orana, ko Pike Stahlmann-Brown, but I'll answer to PK as well. Thank you for that. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the Fairfield Project to you. This was one of the local partners that we worked with throughout this mahi. And I'm particularly excited about the Fairfield Project because they're an intergenerational project that is community-led and is working to empower and keep the integrity and resilience within their community. They have a 12-acre site, a 12-hectare site in Hamilton that they're working to restore. It's a gully area, and they've been working on this site since 2017. And they do this on a lean staff of just 1.2 FTE and working with dozens and dozens of volunteers to do this, this really important project. I'm going to share a quick video with you so that you can see what they've been doing, and I don't have to explain it because the pictures speak much more eloquently than I can. Will that play automatically? Yeah, great. Isn't that inspiring? I find that incredibly motivating, and I'm delighted to introduce two colleagues from the Fairfield Project who have traveled here. We have Lynn Rogers and Marina Hape, and they're going to be with us for these 2 days. So if you're as inspired as I am and you want to learn from them, please approach them during one of the breaks. So I'm going to be presenting on behalf of two colleagues who were unable to join us today. The first is Robbie Maris, and this is his master's work that I'm presenting. And he can't join us today because he's now in London having started his PhD. And his supervisor is Zach Dorner from Lincoln University, and Zach is recovering from COVID. So here I am in his stead. Zach and Robbie had two questions that they wanted to work on, and they partnered with the Fairfield Project in order to answer these questions. And I'm going to the questions are written up there, but I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. The first question is, how do you get people in the door? How do you get people to want to start becoming involved in environmental restoration? And the second question is, well, what do they get out of it? Okay, so we're going to try to answer those questions today in this presentation. So here's what we did in this project. We had an online survey that was targeted towards people living in Hamilton. We collected some baseline data about their well-being, about their environmental identity, about pro-environmental behaviors that they're already doing. And we asked people, are you currently volunteering in environmental projects? And if they said no, we said, are you willing? And then we conducted a randomized control trial, or sort of an experiment, where we randomly tested different ways of encouraging people to volunteer. And then there was a follow-up survey afterwards to see whether they showed up and also what they got out of it. Now, this builds on some previous research that was undertaken by other members of the research team, many of whom are in the room, but I'd like to particularly acknowledge Lynette, who is here today. Lynette, I'm looking at you. Thank you. Lynette is there, thank you, who led this research. And this was about the barriers to volunteering. And the barriers include a lack of information awareness, not knowing other people, maybe people who are a little bit introverted are unwilling to just put their hand up. People have work and time constraints. There could even be a little bit of a financial barrier. And some people mentioned that they had previous bad experiences volunteering. So with these barriers in mind, we tried to design ways to overcome them. So this is the randomized control trial. So of the people that were not currently volunteering, but who said that they were willing to volunteer in the future, 25% of them got a control, 25% of them got what we call a nudge, 25% received a voucher, and 25% received both a voucher and a nudge. And the control is really just a bit of information about the Fairfield Project. It exists. Would you like to come along? And the nudge was designed to overcome some of those barriers that we identified in that previous research. Participating in one of these events is a great way to give back to your community and the environment while having fun. It's also a good way to meet like-minded people. Studies show that volunteering increases overall well-being. You can learn some new skills that you can apply at home or in your local neighborhood to positively impact the environment. For the voucher, we gave them a $50 voucher from the supermarket. Now, it's really important that this was framed as being a one-off voucher, and we acknowledge that some people have barriers, and we said this is a way to encourage you to try something new. Okay, and in recognition of your time, we've got a voucher for you. And 25% of people got both the voucher and the nudge. So we had volunteer events specifically for first-time volunteers. They were held on weekends and on weekdays to try to accommodate people's schedules. They lasted 2 hours. We did separate people into the voucher group and the non-voucher group so that we were not handing out vouchers to some people but not others. And we had we had fun activities for people to participate in, things like potting and tracking and trapping. And because it's the Fairfield Project's sort of kaupapa and manakitanga, they put on lunch for everybody too. So it was a really good experience. And then there were follow-up events in March, and just inviting people to come along. Importantly, there was no voucher associated with that. Okay? So here are the results. So these are people that never previously volunteered. And these are the 4 groups along the bottom. So the control is just getting the information saying that the project exists. Would you like to come along? 5% of people that we contacted showed up. Okay? The nudge didn't have a particularly significant effect beyond that, but the voucher combined with the nudge got people through the door. Okay, that was really effective in bringing new people in. This is the second result, okay? This is showing us, did people show up in the March event? And in the left side there, it says control, we had 2.6%. So this is 2.6% of people who said that they were willing to volunteer, but for whatever reason, they couldn't make the first event. Did they come along to the March event? 2.6% of them did. The right bar is people who came along to the first event. So this is telling us that if you came along to the first event, you're 8 times more likely to continue volunteering, to come to the second event. Okay, so this is a really powerful finding. You can get people to come along through a nudge and a voucher, but conditional on them coming the first time, they're more likely to come again. Okay, and I spoke to Lynn during our break, and some of those people that first volunteered over a year ago now are still volunteering. It's a huge success story. Now, I don't want anybody to think, oh gosh, we're a small community restoration project. How are we going to get vouchers for people? Right? I think that there's a really good opportunity to partner with local businesses and to share results like this, saying you can provide the voucher once, but it has a long-term impact for the life of the project. So I find these results to be really encouraging. I mentioned that there was another survey that was conducted after people did their volunteering, and Robbie and Zach were able to scientifically demonstrate that people who volunteered felt empowered, that they enjoyed the experience, that they were more likely to come again, that they showed measurable increases in their well-being, that they felt more environmentally friendly, and that they increased other pro-environmental behaviors. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to turn this over to Nathan now. Nathan Matamua.
Kia ora. Ko nei hana Matamua tōku ingoa. Huri ahau no te uruwera. And it's my privilege to talk to you today about my research relating to the social and cultural considerations in enacting kaitiakitanga. The enhanced enactment of kaitiakitanga requires engagement at a localised level, using localised understandings as described by locals themselves. In line with this localised perspective, this research project engaged with local experts associated with the localised Tūhoe community of Ruatahunga, located in the heart of Te Uruwera. The research draws on their knowledge base of kōkōrangi Māori astronomical knowledge, and their local environmental knowledge related to water, by giving voice to 2 experts in these respective fields to understand and to give insight into the unique systems, beliefs, knowledge they hold, and to make meaning of their lived experiences. Thus the project exploring Tūhoe astronomical knowledge in relation to localised environmental management of water. Coming. Oh, aroha mai. The big green button. Coming together with these experts to discuss this kaupapa, the aim of the research was to understand what do the lived experiences and knowledge of these experts tell us about a localised Tūhoe perspective of water. And through this meaning and understanding, how might this local Tūhoe community be better empowered to enact a more authentic form of kaitiakitanga. Informed by a kaupapa Māori approach, this qualitative research project applied a phenomenological informed thematic analysis. The result of this analysis is te io te rangi. Te io te rangi translates as the current of the sky, a phrase given to me by one of the experts. It makes reference to the movement of celestial bodies as akin to the current of a river, flowing from east to west across the night sky. Te io te rangi elicits the notion of needing to read the current, to understand and interpret what the current is doing and how we are positioned with regards to interacting with it. Using te io te rangi as a framework, various themes that emerged from the participants' kōrero were placed within the current as individual stars. These themed stars were then grouped into larger themed constellations. And although the participants' kōrero didn't follow any linear or sequential flow or process, these larger themes were arranged within the constellation, within te io te rangi, to reflect the journey of lived experiences and understanding that flowed upstream, or from the current upstream to downstream, from the past to the future, cause and effect. Using te io te rangi, the research found that water management was reflective of the all-inclusive realities of these experts as members of their local community. And so what is meant by this is that water was not interpreted in isolation, but rather inclusive of lived experiences, Tūhoe ontology, local history, events, local knowledge, cultural expression, places and spaces, and social dynamics. This is reflected in te io te rangi through the overarching theme of interconnectivity, and noting everything is connected, having a relationship, various actions having effect, various inputs having particular outputs. And wanting to understand the connection between the stars and water, the experts emphasised concern for the human relationship. This is noted in te io te rangi through the dichotomous themes of disconnection and reconnection, and inferred through the participants' kōrero that the quality of knowledge is only as good as the quality of relationships. Implied here is the notion that in order to really know or understand water and its connection to the stars, people need to form quality relationships with the environment to elevate their sense of knowing about such phenomena. Therefore, this informed the next research finding that improving quality of relationships with the environment was considered key to both improving understandings of water and empowering people in how to enact care for it. And although Tūhoe whakapapa knowledge could describe various connections between the stars and water, it was the compromised link that people shared with these phenomena that was noted as requiring attention. And you'll see here the quote, "Nothing wrong with the connection between water and the stars or astronomy. It's always been there. We're the problem, it's people." To assist in the re-establishment of this connection with the environment, the experts emphasised the potential of Māori astronomical knowledge to invigorating relationships. Thus, the final research finding that was the application of Māori astronomical knowledge was perceived as a relevant and innovative way to create new narratives and to enhance people's ability to have relationships with water. Its relevance and importance to being applied was obviously because it was a local knowledge from the Ruatahuna community, and therefore the ability to apply their own knowledge and to create their own narratives was perceived as something empowering. It was also based on the effects they'd seen with this particular knowledge with engaging people, and this was noted through matariki and star law, how people had engaged with matariki, where 51% of New Zealanders in 2022 had celebrated matariki in some form. Wanting to create new narratives was premised on not having any control over the current narratives around water quality. And also, to add to this, the majority of academic literature was inaccessible and unrelatable to this localised community. Therefore, the ability to weave in star knowledge to create new narratives around water was offered as an innovative and creative way to enhance people's connection. So the experts drew on the eel migration to emphasise this potential, using astronomical knowledge of particular stars to articulate and synchronise with activity occurring in and around water. And the point they made is that to know this knowledge, people could actually go out and time their visits to waterways so they could encounter this migration phenomena and become enamoured and in awe of it, therefore putting their knowledge into practice. And we can look at recent narratives around Matariki to note the influence of this knowledge, and noting people waking up early hours of the morning to watch the rising of Matariki in much the same way. Interestingly, in overviewing these research findings, we can note an emphasis on relationships as enhancing knowledge through experiencing, sensing and practice within the environment. This is noted in the earlier quote that I mentioned before, that the quality of our knowledge is only as good as the quality of our relationships. However, applying astronomical knowledge works the other way, with knowledge enhancing relationships. Therefore, both knowledge and relationships inform each other and can be thought of as a cyclic process that has the potential to build on itself. The importance of relationships as enacted through experiences and practice, coupled with knowledge, is the creation of wisdom. And Māori Marsden makes reference to such a transition to wisdom as a spiritual experience, where the accumulation of knowledge and experiences through being relational and having relationships creates a sense of clarity and depth of understanding about the environment that we couldn't perceive before. Therefore, to enhance one's connection with the environment to the level akin to the spiritual is therefore to form an enhancement to one's ability to understand and enact kaitiakitanga. Kia ora. So just before we finish, part of our rōpū explored kaitiakitanga, the term, and some dynamics of kaitiakitanga, and I'm not sure how to work this, but
I think it's just this button. You carry on. I'll do this.
Jane will do this. Ka pai, Jane.
Oh no, actually, we can't.
So I'll just talk to it. Yeah. We have a link to a particular story map, and one reason we wanted to create a story map about kaitiakitanga is that we felt the term wasn't necessarily as accessible in meaning. A lot of the understanding and articulation about kaitiakitanga is embedded within academic literature. So this was a means by which we could give access to people to talk about kaitiakitanga, and I encourage you to visit this link, and Jane will share it with everyone later on the awesome app that's out there. But one reason we really wanted to do this too is that there's a lot of power associated with the word kaitiakitanga. People are interested in how resources are going to be used and managed. It has interest. And therefore, we need to keep reiterating the concept of kaitiakitanga so that we can maintain its integrity. And therefore, we wanted to bring out these narratives around it so that people had a place where they could go that wasn't an academic article. It was colourful, it's got attached videos, and people could learn about it in a more in-depth fashion. And associated with this story map that we'll send the link out to is an article that will be released soon. And beyond, even though in here we talk about kaitiakitanga, its different aspects, particular actions, behaviours, what's here is we're just sort of describing kaitiakitanga. In our article, we actually start talking to the experience of kaitiakitanga, Because as much as we want to give people guidelines about what kaitiakitanga can look like and what it can be, that kaitiakitanga is actually quite specific. It's generalised, it's contextualised by iwi, hapu, whānau, by context. And so what we wanted to do is to add upon this is to also emphasise the importance of the experience of kaitiakitanga. So that kaitiakitanga is something that just doesn't happen out there. It's something that happens within us as well. So I encourage you, if you get the opportunity, to follow our link. Kia ora.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you. I love a little surprise as well. Tēnā koe. Sorry that I hadn't introduced you properly then. Nei hana Matamua hoki. Koutou katoa, ka tahi anō ka whakamana I tēnei mea te kaitiakitanga. Really beautiful weaving together of how you get people in the door, what do they get out of it, how do we speak and engage with kaitiakitanga in a way that goes outside of this room. So yes, you're trying to get people in the door, but also we're talking about the people outside the door. And how does it come to life for us all as kaitiaki? Like that kōrero as well, nei hana, the quality of knowledge is only as good as the quality of our relationships, but then knowledge can enhance those relationships as well. Kia ora tātou katoa.